just going to explain the difference between simple breathing, simple breath work, and how we transit from simple breathing into pranayama and what the difference is. So here I have Sami-Jo at the side of me. We're just going to move through the 3 sections of breathing in and breathing out. So first of all, the most important thing is to connect deeply with the sit bones. So you lengthen down through the sit bones and find the connection through the pelvic floor. So there is a stability in the foundation of the seat, Sthira Sukha Asana. And then we take a few little breaths into the space around the navel. It might be useful to place the hands sometimes on the belly so that you can begin to sense the movement of the breath. As you breathe in, the belly moves out softly and slowly. And as you exhale, the fingertips move back to the spine naturally. So we begin to release the tension. We untie the breath here so that there are no restrictions to the freedom of the breath around the belly button. And at the same time, we become aware of how the breath moves in through the nostrils. So we want to keep the mouth closed, of course, and observe the way in which the breath moves in through the nostrils, brushes the soft palate through the throat. At the same time, simultaneously, the belly starts to move out freely. So as we've taken a few breaths into this area, there's a sense of softness and relaxing around this navel area. And then we can start to concentrate on the area of the lower ribs. The respiratory diaphragm sits underneath the rib cage, which can often be a site of stress, which we can feel as tension in this upper site here, the upper abdominal region. So first of all, we want to release any tension here, so there's some lateral movement of the rib cage, so the movement of the ribs moves out, the space between the rib cage, the ribs themselves move, and you can feel more space in the front of the body, the back of the body, and the sides of the body. And sometimes what can help untie the breath is to take one little deep breath in and hold it at the top of the in-breath. And so you can feel that sense of expansion at the very top of the in-breath, and to kind of stretch any tension in the muscles, the intercostal muscles. You can literally feel the diaphragm opening a little, and then again soften with your out-breath. And this helps to release any locked, stressed state of the respiratory diaphragm, which acts like a great divide between the lower abdominal region and the space in the top of the chest. So we want to release this tension here. So you can relax your hands, and then you can just start to focus on taking the breath from the abdominal region into the lower ribs and all the way up to the top of the chest. So it almost looks like an inverted triangle as the shape of the breath starts to widen with its widest part in the collarbones. And then as you exhale, you take the breath all the way back down. So we'll count the breath. Inhaling 1, 2, 3 at the top, the widest point, and then you exhale as you focus on the breath, moving back down to 3. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, holding at the top. Little pause there at the top, and then exhaling 1, 2, 3 with a little pause at the bottom. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, holding at the top, and now we're going to move into pranayama where the out breath is lengthened to double of the inhale, which requires stability in the pelvic floor. So we want to develop what we call the Uddiyana zone, which is the way in which the lower belly draws back towards the spine. And you can often feel this just by lengthening through the tailbone, which switches on the front abdominal muscles. So we can hold the out breath for longer, and it begins to connect with the muscles of the pelvic floor. So we'll go through that now. So if you just breathe out, Samjo. And then we inhale 1, 2, 3, hold at the top. And we exhale for double. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Little pause as we stay in the space of the pelvic floor before we breathe in. 1, 2, 3, holding at the top before breathing out. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you can carry on. And what we want is to stay free in this upper abdominal region while staying supported in the Uddiyana zone below the belly button. So the breath needs to be slow and regular. And we're beginning to develop more control over the pelvic and lower abdominal muscles. So that the practice of pranayama isn't quite controlling the breath, but it's more about managing the internal pressure. More about controlling the muscular expansion. So there's more space for the breath to come in and move out. And so pranayama uses the breath to influence the flow of prana in the nadis, purifying, regulating and activating the pranic current. And this results in physical stability, mental stability, especially when we're able to cultivate a connection between the pause at the very top and the pause at the end of the out breath. And over time we develop that more until it actually starts to move towards kumbhaka, the retention of the breath, as we've started to cultivate more management of the pelvic floor muscles, of which there are a series of kriyas so that we develop a greater connection.